Greetings dear children. In this video, we are going to learn Shakespeare's Julius Caesar Act 1, Scene 2, the second half. I hope you have watched part 1 of this scene. If you have not watched, I request you to watch the first half of this scene so that you will get a clear understanding of the whole scene. So far, we have seen in part 1 of the scene that Caesar, having entered Rome in triumph, calls to his wife Calpurnia and orders her to stand where Mark Antony, about to run in the traditional foot race of the Lupercal, can touch her as he passes. Caesar shares the belief if a childless woman is touched by one of the holy runners, she will lose her sterility. Then we have seen a soothsayer calls from the crowd, cautioning Caesar to beware the Ides of March. But Caesar pays no attention and departs his attendants, leaving Brutus and Cassius behind. Cassius begins to probe incite Brutus about his feelings towards Caesar and the prospect of Caesar's becoming a dictator in Rome. Brutus has clearly been disturbed about this issue for some time. Cassius reminds Brutus that Caesar is merely a mortal like them, with such ordinary human weaknesses, and he says that Cassius would rather die than see such a man become his master. He reminds then Brutus of his noble ancestry and the expectations of the fellow Romans that Brutus will serve the country as his ancestors did. By the time they hear the shouting and cheering of the people of Rome. Let's continue the second half. Another general shout. I do believe that these applauses are for some new honors that are heaped on Caesar. Hearing the general shout, Brutus concluded that these applauses, the cheering or the shouting, it seems some new honors heaped upon Caesar. Cassius begins his speech responding to the remark made by Brutus. This is one of the most important dialogues in the play. Here we see Cassius compares Caesar to that of the statue of Colossus and the condition of Romans under his rule. Ultimately, what will happen to their destiny, their life? Why man, he doth bestride the narrow world like a colossus, and we petty men walk under his huge legs and peep about to find ourselves dishonorable grace. Caesar stands over our narrow world like the statue of Colossus, and we the Romans, our petty men, walk under his huge legs and can look for nothing but dishonorable death. We die without any name and fame. There is an allusion to Colossus, the tall statue of Apollo in the harbor in the town of Rhodes. Its two legs were on either side of the entrance of the harbor, and ships sailed between its legs. Caesar is compared to Colossus, and the ships that sailed between the legs of Colossus, they are Romans. Romans are compared to these ships. Further, he gives justification that who are responsible for such situation. Usually in our day-to-day life, if any difficulties we face, if we face some problem, we say that stars are not favorable. But here, Cassius makes a correction, telling that it's not the fault of stars. We are responsible for our own fate. Men at some time are masters of their fates. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our star, but in ourselves that we are underlings. Here Cassius says that men at some times are masters of their fates means human beings do actually have some control over their destiny. And Cassius firmly believes that he and Brutus are mere subordinates or underlings at the feet of their great ruler because of their own failure to change the circumstances. That means they are not making any effort to raise themselves rather than the fault of the stars or fates which have decided that they will be underlings. Then Cassius says that let's compare the names Brutus and Caesar. What should be in that Caesar? What's special in that name Caesar? Why should that name be sounded more than yours, sounded on the lips of people more than your name? Let's write both the names. It is as beautiful. Your name is as beautiful as that of Caesar. Let's pronounce both the names. It sounds as good. It doth become the mouth as well. It sounds as good as Caesar. Weigh them. It is as heavy as that of the name of Caesar. Conjure with them. Brutus will start a spirit as soon as Caesar. If you use them to call or conjure spirits, the name of Brutus is as good as that of Caesar for two purposes. One is to raise devils, the second one to rouse men of courage. Let's understand the illusion of Colossus in detail. So this is the picture. You can see that the statue of Colossus. Caesar is compared to the statue of Colossus. She is standing, the two legs apart and the ships sail between the legs. And here this statue, Caesar is compared to the statue and the petty men, Romans, are compared to the ships which sail between the legs of the statue Colossus. So the illusion is giant bronze statue of Apollo as the sun god, one of the seven wonders of the ancient world, more than 100 feet high. The two legs of the statue were on either side of the entrance of the harbor and the ships sailed between the legs. And why is it referred to here? Statue of Colossus. Before the mighty power of Caesar, we means the Romans, petty men, look like tiny creatures moving between his legs. As ships once moved between the legs of Apollo, one day Romans will die without any name and fame. It's a powerful mental image, Julius Caesar standing mighty and tall across the world, which seems narrow. The world seems narrow in comparison with the might of this great ruler. By contrast, Brutus and Cassius are small or insignificant men, that's why it is referred to as petty men, who walk under the huge parted legs of Julius Caesar, and the whole lives are spent not conquering the world, wherein Caesar has done, but in merely finding some quiet spot to die. How do they die? Insignificant and forgotten by the world. Now Cassius asks, let me ask in the names of all the gods. He wanted to know that what Caesar is eating so much that makes him grow so great. And he gives answer, age, thou art shamed. You should be ashamed. Time is personified. You should be ashamed. Why? Rome, thou hast lost the breed of noble bloods. Here we can see that Cassius laments that the age in which they live has become so debased that a general like Caesar could have raised himself to such a great status. Rome, once a great city and empire, appears to have lost the breed of noble bloods, lost its noble lineage. That, why did he say? The reason is such an ordinary man as a Caesar could have become so powerful. He laments, Cassius laments, and believes that Rome has lost her ability to raise great men. Cassius goes on to describe the past age now, where there were many great men who brought Rome glory. When went there by an age since the great flood, it was famed with more than one man. There is a reference to great flood. According to the classical mythology, she is determined to destroy the world because of the sins of men. But he saved one couple because of their piety. They are Deucalion and his wife Pyrrha. Never since the flood of Deucalion has a single age passed without Rome producing at least one great man. And now what is the condition? When they could say, till now they talked of Rome, that her wide walls, Rome, her wide walls encompassed but one man. More than many were there. But now what is the condition? Is it Rome? Is it the same Rome? Indeed, truly, room enough when there is in it but one only man. Now, space for only one person. There is a literary term used there. Pun on the word Rome, R-O-M-E and R-O-O-M. Both pronounced same by the Elizabethan London. There is a pun on Rome and Rome. Cassius' point is that as far as Rome and Caesar are concerned, there is a room for only one man, Julius Caesar himself. The implication is that Caesar will allow for no one else to take his mantle of power away from him. Then he tells, you and I have heard our fathers say there was a Brutus that would have brooked, tolerated the eternal devil to keep his state in Rome as easily as a king. Here one reference is there. Reference to Lucius Junius Brutus, who was responsible for expelling the Tarquins from Rome. The Brutus in the play claimed to have descended from this Brutus, Lucius Junius Brutus. Here Cassius drives his point, telling that Brutus is as good as a Caesar, and they would be cowards who, if they didn't do something to stop Caesar becoming the first man of Rome. Then he has taken one reference, Cassius. Cassius appeals to Brutus' family history. As I told that, the Brutus in the play descended from Lucius Junius Brutus. Appeals to Brutus' family history. Apparently, one of Brutus' ancestors helped establish the Roman Republic by fighting the tyrant Tarquin. Cassius is basically calling for Brutus to uphold the family name. Go against Caesar. He manipulates. The character trait is highlighted. Cassius, very good at manipulating people. At the end, he has referred to his family history, indirectly requesting and calling Brutus to uphold the family name. Brutus answers that you do love me. I am nothing jealous. I agree. I don't have any doubt that you do love me. You have care and concern upon me. What you would work me to, I have some aim. Now, I have some idea of what you were inspiring me to do. How I have thought of this, here he tells that thought of this means the present situation. He got some idea about the present situation. And of these times I shall recount hereafter. I will tell you after some time afterwards. For this present, but he request. What was a request? I would not, so with love I meet entreat you, be any further moved. If I can ask you as a friend, I would rather not be compelled any further. The reason is I have got some idea about the present situation. I have thought about the matter and some idea I have, but you should not ask me, force me, no, be any further moved. You should not force me further. What you have said, I will consider. Which you have told about the matter, I will consider the matter. What you have to say, I will patiently hear later. When I find time, both meet to hear, appropriate time to hear and answer such important matters, things. Till then, I will find time for that. Till then, till that time, my good friend, noble friend, chew upon this. Think about this. What he should think from there, Brutus had upon us is the answer. Brutus had rather be a villager than to repute himself a son of Rome under these hard conditions as this time is like to lay upon us. You should think that what I have concluded about the present situation is Brutus would prefer to be a villager than take pride in being a citizen of a Rome under the oppression that is likely to take place in the near future. How does Cassius respond to this? He was very happy. His response. How does he react? The dialogue is the answer. Response. He is very happy. I am glad that my weak words have struck thus much show of fire from Brutus. Brutus has shown some enthusiasm out of my weak words, my suggestions. For this, Cassius is really happy. Words of Cassius are compared to steel striking a flint to light a fire. And he has got show of fire, enthusiasm from Brutus till now. At least he is getting some enthusiasm, sparks of fire. He is getting as response. The games are done and Caesar is returning. When Caesar enters with his followers, Brutus made the remark, and what had happened the day, Cassius has an idea to find out. He says to Brutus, we'll get to know the details from Casca. And he instructs Brutus to stop Casca by the sleeve, and Casca will tell us in his sarcastic way or sour way or strange way of anything which is worthy of note that had happened today. Brutus says, yes, sure, I will do so. Means he will stop Casca and get the details, what had happened. At the same time, Brutus informs Cassius, take notice of Caesar and the followers. There is some change which is clearly reflecting on their faces. What did Brutus observe? What remark does he make about Caesar and the followers? This dialogue is the answer. The angry spot doth glow on Caesar's brow. There is a flash of anger on Caesar's face. And all the rest look like a chidden train. And the followers as if they have been scolded. They look like they have been scolded because they do not look pretty happy. Calpurnia's cheek is pale. Calpurnia has a pale look. And what about Cicero, the senator and great orator? Looks with such ferret and such fiery eyes as we have seen him in the Capitol being crossed in conference by some senators. He looks really angry with such red flashing eyes like that of mongoose, as we have seen him in the Capitol Senate House being crossed in conference by some senators when opposed in debates by some senators. Cassius says that Casca will tell us what the matter is. He will brief us what had happened. Caesar enters. He calls Antonius. Antony responds, Caesar. Then Caesar makes a remark about Cassius, that too privately to Antony. What remark does he make about Cassius? His opinion about Cassius. And one more point is he says that whom he prefers to be surrounded. That is the first two lines, and the next two lines is opinion or a remark about Cassius. Let me have men about me that are fat, sleek-headed men, and such as sleep o' nights. The first two lines, whom he prefers to be surrounded. Let me have for my security men who are fat, who are well fed and well slept. But he makes a remark about Cassius, the next two lines. That Cassius over there has a lean and hungry look. Lean and hungry appearance. It seems that he thinks too much. So such kind of people are dangerous. His remark. For this remark, what reply does Antony give? Fear him not, Caesar. He is not dangerous. He is a noble Roman and well given, well mannered. Don't fear him, Caesar. He is not dangerous. He is an honorable and friendly person. Caesar said that Cassius has a hungry and lean look. Such people are dangerous. And he expresses his wish that would he were fatter. He wishes that Cassius should be a fatter person. But I fear him not. He doesn't fear. Caesar doesn't fear Cassius. Yet if my name were liable to fear, if it was in his nature to fear, he tells, I do not know the man I should avoid as soon as that spare Cassius. Here he tells that he doesn't know of any man whom he should avoid more than that thin, bony Cassius. Caesar continues his opinion and remark about Cassius. He reads much and he is a great observer, very observant. He looks quite through the deeds of men. His eyes are very sharp and can read the characters of men and discover their motives. He loves no plays as you do, Antony, and he hears no music. He neither loves plays nor music. Seldom he smiles, and smiles in such a sort as if he mocked himself and scorned his spirit that could be moved to smile at anything. Here he tells that though he doesn't smile, even if he smiles, he does it as if he is mocking the part of himself that could be inspired to smile by anything. That means he succeeds in persuading someone to do something through his smile. Such men as he, like Cassius, be never at heart's ease. Such kind of people, Caesar concludes telling that such men are never quite at heart, never fully satisfied, especially when they behold a greater than themselves, when they see other men holds higher position than themselves, and therefore they very dangerous. They are very dangerous. People who are not satisfied when looking at someone who are greater than themselves. Such kind of people are dangerous. I rather tell thee these points, what is to be feared, what ought to be feared, than what I fear. Caesar tells that he just told all these points about him that should be feared. But Caesar, he tells this, he doesn't feel all this. Why? Why he doesn't feel all this to him? The reason is, I'm Caesar, the fearless. He doesn't get scared of all these points. He just reminded these are the points to be feared, but it doesn't affect Caesar. The reason is, he is Julius Caesar, the fearless. At the end, he tells Antony, come on my right hand, for this ear is deaf. Come to the right hand side. The reason is left ear is deaf. And tell me truly, honestly you tell me, Antony, what thou thinkest of him. What is your opinion about Cassius? By the time trumpet sound is heard, Caesar exits with all his followers except Casca. As we know that Brutus and Cassius are waiting to get to know the information from Casca. So as per the plan, Brutus stopped Casca by the cloak, by the sleeves, dress. You pulled me by the cloak. Would you speak with me? You pulled me by the sleeves. Do you wish to speak to me? Brutus said, yes, Casca. Tell us what hath chanced today. What happened today? That Caesar looks so sad. That made Caesar looks very sad. Instead of answering, Casca asked a question. You were with him, weren't you? Then Brutus answered, if I had been present, I would have not asked you. So kindly tell us what happened today. Casca did not give much importance and he just briefed what happened. Why? There was a crown offered him. And being offered him, he put it by with the back of his hand. Thus, and then the people fell a shouting. A crown was offered to Caesar. As it was offered to Caesar, he put it by with the back of his hand. He pushed it back. And at this action, the crowd cheered for him. Fine. Then what was the second noise or the shouting? For the same, Casca answered. For that too. For the same reason. Then they shouted thrice. Third time also we heard the cheering, the shouting. What was the last cry for? Casca said, for that too. For the same. It was for that only. Offered the crown and pushed it back and the crowd cheered for Caesar. Was the crown offered him thrice? But Was it offered 3 times? Then, yes, Mary was it. Mary, mother of Jesus, he promises. And he put it by thrice. 3 times he refused. And every time, important point, how does he refuse it? This is the interpretation by Casca. According to Casca, Caesar refused the crown unwillingly. How does he interpret it? Every time gentler than other. Every time less willingly than before. And at every putting by mine honest neighbors shouted, and every time he pushed it away, my honorable fellow Romans cheered for Caesar. Then Cassius asked, who offered him the crown? Antony offered. Then tell us the manner of it, gentle Casca. Could you please detail how Antony had offered the crown and how Caesar had refused it? Could you please tell the way how it had happened? Could you detail it, Casca? When Casca was asked to detail the action, he replies, I can as well be hanged as tell the manner of it. As I told you, Casca did not give much importance for what he had witnessed there. Caesar was offered the crown and he refused it. And Casca did not pay much attention to it. He did not give much importance. And he considers it was mere foolery, a foolish behavior. And he said that he did not mark it. He did not pay attention to that. And he details it. What happened? I saw Mark Antony offer him a crown. Antony offered him a crown. And he corrects it, not a crown neither. It's not a crown. It was a garland of flowers worn on the head, coronets. As I told you, how did Caesar react? He put it by once. He pushed it away once. And how does Casca interpret this action of Caesar? And to my thinking, he would fain have had it. He wanted to accept it happily. Then he offered it to him again. Second time, the crown was offered. At that time, Caesar pushed it away for the second time. And according to Casca, to my thinking, he interpreted this refusal that he was very loath to lay his fingers. He hated it very much to take his fingers away from the crown. And then the third time, he offered it the third time, and Caesar put it the third time by, still as he refused it. The third time when the crown was offered, Caesar pushed it away. The third time when he refused, the crowd shouted. The rabblement hooted and clapped their chapped hands and threw up their sweaty nightcaps and uttered such a deal of stinking breath because Caesar refused the crown. Third time when Caesar refused the crown, the crowd shouted and clapped their rough hands and threw up their sweat-smelling caps and let out such a great deal of foul-smelling breath. The reason is Caesar refused the crown. And now, what's the outcome of this, consequence of this deal of stinking breath? It had almost choked to Caesar. This is the sarcastic way he detailed it. Casca detailed. For he swooned and fell down at it. Almost choked Caesar because of this foul breath, stinking breath of the rabblemen. Caesar fainted and fell down. And for my own part, Casca dared not laugh. He dare not laugh. What is the reason? He feared that the foul-smelling breath of the mob, the crowd, would enter his mouth if he opened his mouth to laugh. That's the reason he did not open his mouth. Then Cassius asked, "But soft, wait a little. I wanted to ask you, did Caesar really faint?" Casca answered, "Yes, he fell down in the marketplace. After that, he foamed at his mouth the froth. It came in his mouth and he couldn't speak. He was speechless." Brutus, the trusted friend of Caesar, knows that Caesar has the falling sickness. He concludes that it's quite likely that he has epilepsy, the falling sickness. What does Casca say happened with the Caesar and the crown? Related to that, any question comes, I have given it in 3 points. Caesar refused to be crowned thrice. Antony offered him a crown. He put it by once, pushed it back, refused. And this is the opinion of Casca. He would fain have had it, gladly accept it. Then he offered it to him again, second time. Again, he doesn't like, hates to take his finger off from the crown. Then the third time offered it. He put it the third time, again refused. So now the reaction of the crowd is given here. When Caesar refused the crown for the third time, the rabblemen shouted and clapped their chopped hands. So 3 points I have given. When Brutus said that Caesar has the falling sickness, Cassius made a correction. What correction did he make at this juncture? No, Caesar had it not. No, Caesar doesn't have the falling sickness. It's you and I, Brutus and Cassius, and the honest Casca. We have the falling sickness. Here Cassius is saying that it's Rome indirectly which is suffering from the falling sickness, because the political health of Republic has collapsed under the dictatorship of Caesar. We bend in fear. We are the underlings. Casca did not understand what Cassius mean by this statement. He said that, "I know not what you mean by that. I don't know what you mean by that statement." Because Casca witnessed when Caesar fell. He was a witness. He's very sure. But I'm sure, I'm certain that Caesar fell down. If the tag rag people, if the masses, the crowd, the low class people did not clap for him and he said him based on whether Caesar pleased or displeased them, just like a comparison they do for actors in the theater, if not done, then I'm no true man, I'm not an honest person. Here Casca is subtle enough to notice that Caesar dramatizes himself in order to play on the feelings of the crowd. Then Brutus asked, "What said he when he came unto himself?" When he regained the consciousness, what did he say? So Casca said that by Mother Mary, before he fell down, when he perceived the common herd was glad he refused the crown, what did he do? He plucked me open his doublet, unbuttoned his jacket, and me. It's a surprise, just a, "Oh God, it's me," called me, pulled me to unbutton the jacket, and Caesar offered them his throat to cut. And Casca expresses his opinion of this action by Caesar. If he had been a man of any occupation, skilled with the tools, and I had been a man of any occupation, if I had been one of the mob, a man of action, then what I would have done? I wish I might go to hell among the rocks. I would have done when Caesar offered his throat to cut. I would have gone to hell among the rocks. Dishonest people doesn't have much principle. A man who doesn't have much principle. I would have, if I had been a man of action. He asked me to unbutton the jacket and he fell. When he came to himself again, he said, when he regained his senses, he said, if he had done or said anything amiss, if anything he had done to displease the mob, he hoped that, he desired their worship. The term worship is used by Casca in a sarcastic way. To consider, if he had done or said something, consider it was his infirmity. It was his weakness. Consider, treat it as his weakness and kindly forgive him. This was said by Caesar when he regained his consciousness. When he said this, 3 or 4 benches where I stood, Casca was standing nearby. 3, 4 benches, ladies were there. Women were standing where Casca was standing. And they cried, alas, good soul, about Caesar. And they forgave him with their hearts. Wholeheartedly they forgave Caesar. And Casca made a remark about this vengeance action. But there is no need to pay attention to this action by the vengers. The reason is, if Caesar had stabbed their mothers, they would have done no less. But the words or the action by the vengers should not be given too much of attention. If Caesar had stabbed their mothers, they would have said the same thing. What? Alas, good soul. They would have said the same thing only. So, no need to pay attention or give importance to these words and the action of the vengers, the ladies, the women. Brutus. And after that he came thus sad way. Oh, after this incident, this was the reason. Now Brutus is concluding why they were not pretty, they were not happy. Oh, this was the reason. They were sad, they were serious. Yes, Casca said, yes, this had happened. This was the reason. Did Cicero say anything? Yes, he spoke Greek. He said, to what effect? What did he say? What did Cicero speak? When Cassius asked, did Cicero say anything? Casca answered, nay, and if I tell you, I will never look you in the face again. I will never be able to face you. The reason is, Casca did not understand what Cicero said. But those who have heard what Cicero said, what was their reaction? Smiled at one another, shook their heads. But according to me, for my own part, what Cicero said was Greek to me. It's an idiom, means he did not understand what Cicero said. I could tell you more news too. An important news he is sharing at this juncture. Marcellus and Flavius, for pulling scarves off Caesar's images, which we have seen in Act 1, Scene 1, the end of the scene, they have decided to remove the decorations from Caesar's images. For that action, they are put to silence. Means they have been put to death, executed. There was more foolery yet, if I could remember it, like this. More foolish behavior, foolery. I could tell you about more foolish behavior if he could remember it. Cassius invites Casca for the supper. Will you have supper with me, Casca? Then Casca answered, no, I have promised to eat elsewhere at that time, already engaged. Then Cassius invited Casca to have dinner with him the following day. Will you dine with me tomorrow? Then Casca answered, yes. On what condition he will be able to dine with Cassius the following day? 3 points. If I be alive, if he is alive, and Cassius did not change his mind, the invitation still holds value, and the dinner worth eating, and the dinner is tasty enough, then sure, Casca will join Cassius for the dinner. Then Cassius said, good, I will expect you. I'll be waiting for you. Casca said goodbye and exit from the place. Then we see Brutus makes a remark about Casca. What a blunt fellow is this grown to be. He was a quick metal when he went to school. These are the 2 points. The question is asked, what remark does Brutus make about Casca? What a dull fellow he has become. He was very lively, intelligent when he went to school. Cassius has the same opinion about Casca. Now also, if any work so easy now in execution, he is now lively and active in performing any bold or noble enterprise, means any courageous act, even though, however, although he puts on this tardy form, he has this slow-witted appearance. If any courageous act is there, he is very lively and very active in performing it. This rudeness is a sauce to his good wit, which gives men stomach to digest his words with better appetite. This rough manner, rudeness, makes his great intelligence. It's like adding sauce to the good wit. Adding to this great intelligence makes it more enjoyable, which enables men to understand his words with more appreciation. Then Brutus says that, and so it is. Yes, it is correct. What you said is correct. Your opinion about or remark about Casca is indeed true. Brutus wanted to take leave now, and he tells Cassius, I leave you for the moment. Tomorrow, if you wish to speak to me, I will come to your home. Or the other option is, if you wish to come to my home, I will wait for you. Yes, I will do so, Cassius replied. Till then, think of the world. He reminded Brutus, till they meet again, think of the present political situation. When Brutus exits, Cassius delivers the dialogue, which is a soliloquy. Well, Brutus, thou art noble, you are an honorable man. Yet I see thy honorable metal may be wrought, from that it is disposed, meaning of that sentence. Your noble nature can be changed into different form as metal can be twisted out of shape. The literary term used here is pun. Pun on the word metal. M-E-T-T-L-E means nature, disposition, the character, and M-E-T-A-L means things like iron, which can be shaped into a different form by heating and twisting. Heating and twisting here manipulating the mind, and Brutus is now joining in the plan by Cassius. So, it is meet, therefore, it is meet that noble minds keep ever with their likes, for who so firm that cannot be seduced. Meaning of that sentence is, it is appropriate that noble persons should remain in the company with noble persons only. Otherwise, what is the outcome? However strong their mind be, so firm, cannot be seduced means could easily be tempted by other person. Example is Brutus, his change of mind. That's the example. Then he tells, Caesar doth bear me hard. I know Caesar dislikes me. At the same time, he loves Brutus. And now he tells that if I were Brutus and Brutus were Cassius, he should not humor me. Means he would not be able to influence me how I have influenced, how Cassius influenced Brutus, like that Brutus cannot influence me. It sounds like a self-praise. He's praising himself. If suppose Cassius is Brutus and Brutus is Cassius, he cannot change. I will not be able to change. Like how Brutus has changed. Like that, he cannot change me. It's an example of self-praise. So, he has a plan to do something, to manipulate further, to change Brutus' mind further. What is his plan? It's put in bracket. I will this night in several hands in at his windows throw, as if they came from several citizens, writings all tending to a great opinion that Rome holds of his name, wherein obscurely Caesar's ambition shall be glanced at. So this is the plan. So tonight he will throw letters into his house through his windows, that too in different handwritings, as if they were written by different citizens, all highlighting the content of the letter, the great respect that Roman citizens have of the name of Brutus. In these letters, not only that, in these letters, Caesar's ambition also will be hinted indirectly. And after that, once it is done, it will certainly, what will be the outcome that Cassius is expecting of this action? It will certainly not possible for Caesar to keep himself in power, because we will remove him from power. We will shake him. We will topple him. We will remove him from power. And there are two options. One, they can remove Caesar from power. The second option is, this also may happen. If we are not able to topple Caesar, we will have to suffer a more oppressive future. Either this or that may happen. Either for we will shake him, or worse days they have to bear under the oppression of Caesar. With these words, Cassius reveals to the audience his ambitious intentions for Brutus. Cassius, while loyal to Brutus, recognized that he can manipulate Brutus into doing what he cannot do himself. Example is given in this soliloquy. Plans to manipulate Brutus is by throwing several forged letters through his window, each designed to encourage Brutus to rise up against Caesar. Cassius' greatest strength comes through his ability to persuade with words. As the play continues, we can see that Cassius is the greatest manipulator, the whole play, Julius Caesar. An envious and ambitious man who believed that the ruler of Rome, Julius Caesar, had too much power over the Senate and the people. So, to put an end to what he considered be conspiracy, he fabricated a plan to eradicate Caesar for the sake of Rome. So, Cassius uses manipulation as his weapon of attack, using Brutus as his target. Brutus as the target. And Cassius succeeds in persuading Brutus, one of Caesar's most trusted good friends, to join the plot. And we see that Cassius uses flattery, self-gain, and the people of Rome to manipulate Brutus into his likings. Some notes I have just mentioned in the PPT. You can refer wherein I have not explained it. Thank you, children.